God. But life is loneliness, despite all the opiates, despite the shrill tinsel gaiety of parties with no purpose, despite the false grinning faces we all wear. And when at last you find someone to whom you feel you can pour out your soul, you stop in shock at the words you utter. They're so rusty, so ugly, so meaningless and feeble from being kept in the small, cramped dark inside you for so long. I wrote that in my journal, probably on a Tuesday, probably with a cup of tea going cold beside me, probably after a dinner party where I smiled at all the right moments. My name is Sylvia Plath, and this is everything they weren't supposed to let you read. You see, there was another edition, published in 1982, edited down, sanitized really, by my husband, Ted Hughes. Pages cut, feelings trimmed, the rawness managed. Then, in 2000, Smith College opened the archive. All 23 original manuscripts, handwritten volumes, typed sheets, fragments shoved into notebooks, became this, the Unabridged journals. Unabridged, meaning me uncut. And I should warn you, I'm not always likable in here. I am jealous. I am vain. I am contradictory. I write about boys with an almost embarrassing intensity. And in the same paragraph, I write about Virginia Woolf and Willa Cather and whether my prose is good enough to matter. I pick apart every person I meet with a kind of ruthless taxonomic pleasure. I pick apart myself even more. Like, look at these lines. I am a victim of introspection. If I had not the power to put myself in the place of other people, but must be continually burrowing inward, I shall never be the magnanimous, creative person I wish to be. Yet, I am hypnotized by the workings of the individual, alone, and am continually using myself as a specimen. Yes, that is exactly what I did. I made myself the specimen, pinned myself to the page, and studied what I found. I began keeping diaries at 11, but it is the summer of 1950. I am 17, about to leave for Smith College, where the real journals began. And the very first entry is a line that I think about often, because it is the most honest thing I ever wrote about happiness. The line is, I may never be happy, but tonight I am content. Tonight I am content, not joyful, not soaring, content, with an empty house, the warm haze of a day spent setting strawberry runners in the sun, a glass of cool sweet milk, a shallow dish of blueberries bathed in cream. This is where I start. 18 years old, at a kitchen table, understanding already that happiness and contentment are not the same thing. That life might offer you one and withhold the other forever. At Smith, I was brilliant and terrified. I won prizes. I published in 17 magazine, and I agonized endlessly about what I was, who I was supposed to become. I can never read all the books I want. I can never be all the people I want and live all the lives I want. I can never train myself in all the skills I want. And I'm horribly limited. I said that at 18. I mean it at 30. The journals from this period have a quality I can only describe as ferocious aliveness. I wrote about boys. Oh, I wrote about boys with an analytical precision that would have unnerved them if they would ever read it. I wrote about my roommates, the petty social games, the exhausting performance of femininity at a women's college in 1950s America. I wrote about what I actually believed about God, which was not so much, and about death, which frightened me less than mediocrity did. In the summer of 1953, something broke. I had been a guest editor at Mademoiselle in New York. I had watched the execution of the Rosenbergs on the front page of the newspaper and felt sick in a way I couldn't name. I had returned home to Wellesley, Massachusetts, and I could not sleep. I could not write. I could not read. I took an overdose of sleeping pills. I crawled into a crawl space under our house. I was found 3 days later. The journals don't cover this period directly. That section is gone, disappeared or destroyed, but they circle it. The way you circle a wound you can't look at directly. And when the journals resume, after the hospital, after the electro-conclusive therapy, after the slow offer, stitching back together, there's a different Plath writing. Still driven, still ferociously ambitious, but aware now of what the inside of the bottom looks like. I have the choice of being constantly active and happy, or introspectively passive and sad. Or I can go mad by ricoting in between. I knew by then that ricoting was real, that it was not a metaphor. In 1955, I won a Fulbright. I went to Cambridge. And on the 25th of February 1956, at a party for the launch of a literary magazine called Saint Botol's Review, I met Ted. The journals on this are famous, incandescent really. I wrote, "He kissed me bang spash on the mouth and ripped my hairband off my head." I screamed at myself thinking, oh, to give myself crashing, fighting to you. Yes, that was the beginning. We married 4 months later, and the journals, when I'm writing about Ted at his best, have a quality of gladness that I find painful to read now, knowing the ending. We were two poets, ferociously ambitious, reading everything, fighting about everything, making a life out of words. But the journals are also honest about the difficulty, about the smallness of domestic life pressing in on creative life, about teaching freshman composition at Smith when I wanted to be writing novels, about the way ambition and marriage and housekeeping and poetry all try to occupy the same small body at the same time. I wrote, and by the way, everything in life is writable about if you have the outgoing guts to do it and the imagination to improvise. I believed that. I tried to live it. But some days the gut wasn't there. People came to my journals expecting confession. They want the madness. They want the breakdowns, the Hugh's marriage, the famous death. They treat my life as a kind of literary tragedy to be consumed. But what strikes me, and I hope it strikes you too, is how ordinary these obsessions are, how utterly recognizable. I wanted to be a great writer. I was afraid I wasn't good enough. I wanted to be loved. I was afraid I loved too much or wrongly. I wanted to live fully, to taste every shade and variation of experience, and I was terrified that the world would not let me, that being a woman meant being handed a smaller portion of existence and expected to be grateful for it. Why can't I try on different lives like dresses to see which fits best and is more becoming? The journals are, and their call, a young woman's ferocious, sometimes ugly, sometimes magnificent argument with the world about what she is owed. What any person, any woman, is owed. And they are the record of a writer teaching herself to write. Every entry is practice, every observation, the color of a stranger's teeth, the way snow sits on a window frame, the precise quality of loneliness at a faculty dinner, is Plath at the workbench, sharpening her tools. I need to tell you something about what is not in this book. 2 journals from the last year of my life are missing from this edition. One of them, Ted said, disappeared. The other, the maroon bagged ledger containing entries to within the 3 days of my death, he destroyed it. He said he destroyed it to protect our children. I will not tell you what to think about that. I'll say there are silences in these pages that you can feel, places where the narrative skips, where you sense something was being withheld from you. The journals end abruptly, mid-story, mid-sentence in a way. What I will say is this. The journals that do exist are 809 pages of a person alive on the page. I am alive in this book in a way that even my poems sometimes don't manage. Because in the journals, I'm not performing. I'm working things out. I'm thinking out loud, which is the most dangerous and the most honest thing a person can do. Perhaps someday I'll crawl back home, beaten, defeated. But not as long as I can make stories out of my heartbreak, beauty out of sorrow. I made stories out of it. I made the bell jar, I made Ariel, and before those, underneath those, feeding those, I made these pages. I did not get to be old. I did not get to see what I might have written at 40, at 60. The journals stop. The story stops. But here is what I want you to take from them. If you read them, and I think you should read them, don't read this book for the tragedy. Don't read it as a cautionary tale or as a document of mental illness or as evidence in the long argument about Ted Hughes and Sylvia Plath. Read it as what it is, the working journal of a mind that burned very, very bright, that wanted everything, that was honest enough to write down what wanting everything actually feels like. Let me live, love, and say it well in good sentences. That's all I ever wanted. That's all.